At first, it was delicate, almost polite. Thin flakes drifted lazily between Chicago's towering buildings, settling on car roofs and sidewalk edges. But by the time Danielle Whitmore's annual charity gala ended, the storm had found its strength. Downtown shimmered under white light. Inside the Grand Malo Hotel, applause echoed as Danielle stepped down from the stage. His speech had been precise, inspiring, disciplined, just like him. He believed in systems, in structure, in habits. Every successful quarter his company had ever recorded was the result of consistency. He woke at subah ke paune 5 baje every day. He exercised. He read reports personally. He answered 5 employee emails daily, no matter how busy he was. Control had built his empire. But control could not stop snow. As Daniel buttoned his wool coat and stepped outside, the cold bit sharply against his skin. The wind had grown fierce, whipping snow sideways across the streets. His driver opened the SUV door. "Airport at 6, sir?" The driver asked. "Yes," Daniel replied. "We'll leave at 4. The SUV pulled away from the glowing hotel entrance and into the swelling white night. Daniel leaned back, checking tomorrow's itinerary on his tablet. Investor breakfast in Manhattan. Media interview at noon. Dinner with the board. Every hour accounted for. Every movement efficient. Then the car slowed. A red light. Daniel glanced absently toward the sidewalk, and saw her. A small figure beneath the flickering bus stop light. At first he thought it was a trick of the snow. But as the headlights passed over her, he saw clearly. A little girl, alone. Her coat was too thin for this weather, the fabric damp and clinging to her shoulders. Her shoes were soaked through, little feet shifting nervously against the freezing pavement. Snow clung to her eyelashes, but she didn't wipe it away. She wasn't crying. She was waiting. Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. "Why is she out there?" he murmured. The driver glanced. "Probably waiting for someone, sir." The light stayed red. The snow thickened. And then, unexpectedly, the girl looked directly at the SUV. Their eyes met. She hesitated only a second before stepping forward. Daniel's pulse quickened. She walked carefully through the snow, leaving small uneven footprints, and stopped beside the tinted window. Then she knocked. Softly. The driver looked uneasy. "Sir." Daniel hesitated. His instincts told him to stay inside. High-profile executives didn't open windows to strangers at night. There were risks, protocols, but something in the girl's expression wasn't desperation. It was determination. "Lower it," Daniel said quietly. The window slid down halfway, letting in a rush of icy wind. Up close, she looked even younger than he first thought. Her voice trembled, but she spoke clearly. "Mister, my mom didn't come home last night." The words sliced through the cold. Daniel blinked. "What's your name?" "Lily." "How old are you, Lily?" 8. Her chin lifted bravely, as if she had practiced staying strong. "Where do you live?" he asked. She pointed down the street toward a row of aging brick apartment buildings barely visible through the snow. "My mom works at Massey General Hospital. She always comes home after her shift." "Always." Her voice cracked slightly. "She promised." "Promised." The word echoed in Daniel's mind. Promises. He remembered another snowy night years ago. His daughter, Emma, dressed as a star in her elementary school play. He had promised to attend. But an emergency board meeting ran long. He arrived after the curtain fell. Emma had smiled bravely, but he saw the disappointment in her eyes. That was the night she stopped asking him to come. Daniel swallowed hard. "Have you called her?" he asked Lily. She nodded. "Her phone goes to voicemail." "Do you have family nearby?" She shook her head. "Why are you standing out here?" She said if she was ever late, I should wait where she could see me from the street. So she'd know I was safe. The snow gathered thicker on her shoulders. Daniel's chest tightened again. Waiting had become her habit. Trust had become her routine. The light turned green. Cars behind them honked. Daniel didn't move. He made a decision that didn't appear on any calendar. He opened the door and stepped out into the storm. His polished leather shoes sank immediately into icy slush. The cold shot through him, sharp and unforgiving. The driver stepped out too. "Sir, this isn't." "It's fine." Daniel crouched slightly so he was eye level with Lily. "I'm Daniel," he said gently. "Let's go check your apartment." Relief flickered across her face, but she didn't smile fully. She was still worried. They walked together through the snow. Each step was slow, the wind pushing against them. Daniel removed his scarf and wrapped it around Lily's neck without thinking. The apartment building loomed ahead, old brick, chipped paint, one broken window covered in plastic. Inside, the hallway smelled of dust and radiator heat. Pipes clanged somewhere deep in the walls. They climbed 3 flights of stairs. Lily's apartment door was slightly open. Daniel's heartbeat quickened. Lily rushed inside. Mom. Silence. The kitchen light flicked on. The small apartment was tidy but worn. 2 plates sat on the table. One had dried food still on it. The other was untouched. A purse rested on the counter. But no phone. Daniel's business mind shifted into crisis mode. Details, evidence, patterns. He noticed a folded hospital badge on the table. Maria Sanchez, registered nurse. He stepped aside and called his assistant. I need immediate information. Massey General Hospital. Severe weather staffing issues overnight. Any staff admitted. His assistant worked quickly. Lily stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the phone buzzed. Yes, Daniel answered. There was a major highway accident during the storm. Many nurses stayed double shifts. One nurse, Maria Sanchez, collapsed from exhaustion early this morning. She's stable, still admitted. Daniel closed his eyes briefly in relief. He turned to Lily and knelt beside her. Your mom is at the hospital. She's safe. Her face crumpled, not in fear, but release. Tears finally fell, warm against her cold cheeks. She's okay. She's okay. Can we go to her? Daniel didn't hesitate. Yes. He stood, helping her into his coat this time. As they stepped back into the snow, Daniel felt something shifting inside him. For years, his habits had built wealth. Tonight, a little girl's habit of waiting had reminded him of something far more fragile. And far more important. The storm raged around them as the black SUV drove toward Massey General Hospital. But inside the car, Lily held Daniel's hand. And for the first time in a long time, the CEO wasn't thinking about meetings. He was thinking about promises. And the kind of man he still had. Maria Sanchez looked smaller in the hospital bed than she had in Lily's stories. Exhaustion had drained the color from her face. An ivy line ran into her arm. Dark circles framed her closed eyes. Lily squeezed Daniel's hand tighter. Mom, she whispered. Maria's eyelids fluttered. When she saw her daughter standing there, safe, her lips trembled. Lily, baby. Lily rushed forward carefully, wrapping her arms around her mother's waist. Maria winced slightly but held her tight, as if afraid she might disappear. I'm sorry, Maria breathed. The accident, so many patients, I didn't want to leave them. Daniel stepped back, giving them space. But he didn't leave. He noticed the hallway outside the room, nurses leaning against walls, doctors rubbing their temples, cafeteria workers handing out coffee to staff who looked like they hadn't slept in days. Massey General wasn't failing. It was surviving. Barely. Maria looked up at Daniel, confused. I'm sorry, who are you? Daniel gave a small, humble smile. Someone who found your daughter waiting in the snow. Maria's face went pale. In the snow. Lily. I waited where you could see me, Lily said softly. Tears filled Maria's eyes. Daniel felt something shift again inside his chest. A quiet realization. This wasn't about one night. This was about systems stretched too thin. About single parents with impossible choices. About essential workers carrying the weight of cities while their own children waited alone. Daniel stepped into the hallway and made 3 phone calls. Not as a billionaire, not as a public figure, but as a man who had just walked through a snowstorm holding a little girl's freezing hand. 3 months later, the ballroom at Massey General looked very different from the luxury gala Daniel had attended that snowy night. No glittering chandeliers, no designer gowns. Instead, nurses in scrubs stood shoulder to shoulder. Orderlies, technicians, janitors, ambulance drivers, real heroes. At the podium, a banner hung behind Daniel. The Whitmore Family Foundation Frontline Support Initiative. Reporters murmured. Cameras flashed. Daniel adjusted the microphone. 3 months ago, he began, I met a little girl standing alone in the snow. The room grew still. She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't asking for fame. His voice deepened. She was waiting for her mother. A nurse who had worked beyond exhaustion because the hospital didn't have enough support. Maria stood in the front row now, healthy, stronger. Lily beside her, holding her hand proudly. Daniel continued. I built my company on habits. Wake early, work hard, stay disciplined, repeat. He paused. But I realized something that night. Compassion should also be a habit. A large screen behind him lit up. The initiative would provide 24-hour emergency childcare for hospital staff, storm transportation services, on-site rest apartments for double-shift workers, mental health support programs, overtime relief funding. Gasps filled the room. And this, Daniel added, is only the beginning. A nurse in the back began to cry. Then another. Then applause. Not polite applause. Not corporate applause. but grateful, relieved, emotional applause. Maria covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Lily looked up at Daniel like he had just performed magic. But Daniel knew the truth. It wasn't magic. It was repetition. Because since that night, he had started something new. Every Friday, along with reviewing company reports, he now reviewed letters from frontline workers. Every quarter, instead of only analyzing profits, he evaluated community impact. Every 15 December, the anniversary of the snowstorm, he personally visited Massey General. Habit, consistency, compassion, repeated until it became culture. 1 year later, Massey General reported 40% decrease in staff burnout, 30% increase in nurse retention, 0 incidents of staff children left unattended during emergencies. Other hospitals began calling. Other sources began asking questions. Why are you investing so much in this? One reporter asked Daniel during an interview. Daniel smiled softly. Because I once missed my daughter's school play chasing profit. The room went silent, and I won't miss another chance to show up when someone is waiting. A small envelope. On the first anniversary of the storm, Lily walked into Daniel's office carrying something carefully folded. She was wearing a new winter coat now. Warm boots, bright red gloves. She handed him a small envelope decorated with uneven snowflakes drawn in crayon. Daniel opened it slowly. Inside was a handwritten note. Dear Mr. Daniel, thank you for walking in the snow with me. Mom says you changed the hospital. I think you just listened. Love, Lily. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He placed the note in his desk drawer, right next to the old, faded ticket stub from Emma's missed school play. 2 reminders, one of regret, one of redemption. As snow began falling again outside his office window, Daniel stood quietly watching it. Success had once meant control. Now it meant presence. Because sometimes, the most powerful habit you can build is stopping when the world tells you to keep driving.